Can you see my hand shaking? I mean, this stuff is so thick, it is, it's hard to get out. Okay, but let's make sure we cap it real quick. Okay. Welcome back to the workbench where we try to make things. And what we're continuing to try to make right now is the Revell 1971 Mach 1 Mustang. And this is for the Blue Ox Model Shop's Street Machine group build. And we've made a little progress, and it's really a continuation of yesterday's video. Basically trying to get the motor to fit in the engine bay. So once we started kind of getting all this stuff onto the engine and in the engine bay, the motor's getting a little tight in there, and I just needed some room. And we had talked about some stuff yesterday, and I think I'm probably going to go a little bit of a different direction. And one reason is from a good comment that I was given. Let me make sure I get from Bruce K 3217. In fact, I'll put the comment down below so you can see it. And I don't know why I didn't think about this. So we're trying to make room. Let me come down to the bottom camera. We're trying to make room in the engine bay to get the motor to sit lower. And of course, his suggestion was to just kind of shave away some of what's in the way. Just move, because you're only going to see this from the bottom anyways, which is what I did, which I've basically kind of sanded and shaved this down to paper thin. Now that gives us a little bit more space, but not really as much as I needed. I need this motor to sit even lower in the engine bay, and it was a good millimeter lower, and that probably got us a 1/4 mil, something like that, right? So what I've decided to do, and as you can see, because it's in my hand, I've completely removed the whole front end and cross brace structure, steering stuff. I just completely removed it from the car, which removed pretty easily except for one peg that broke, but that's okay, because what I was thinking we could do to make this move down is, let's see, let me make sure you guys can see this. There we go. See this little peg right here? That used to fit into a notch that is in the, I guess, we'll call them the spindle. It's just a flat piece of plastic. But that used to fit into this notch that I've now filled with styrene. Now, my thought being is, obviously, this styrene's way bigger than what it needs to be. I've got it in there, glued up right now, just drying, gluing up. Once it's fully cured, I'm going to trim this styrene all the way down to make it the same shape. So I'm going to trim this side, and then trim the top side. So basically, that little gap, that little notch, I should say, the little notch that was in the spindle here goes away. And then now, when we try to place the front end in, that, let me make sure you can see it again. This little peg won't fit into that notch because that notch won't exist, and the spindle will just sit on top, or actually below, that little peg. And which, by the way, that little peg, if we can show it again, let me see if we can show it. There you go. Basically a millimeter. So that will give us that space we need. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead, I'll make sure and glue it up in its stock location up front here, like so. And then the only other issue we would have is we have where the steering components, where this the center link actually connects to our steering box and over on this side. But what's nice is the steering links have, let me see if I can again show you, this stuff's so small. The steering links have pegs, about 1 millimeter pegs. So they should kind of just sit right above. I don't know how well you guys can see this. I hope you can actually see it. They'll sit, obviously they'll be, instead of going into where they need to go, they'll just sit. Let me pull that back out now. Uh-oh, give me back. They'll sit right above it, and I can glue them in right above it, and it'll look like they're making connection. I hope that makes sense. And I think that's going to be the easier solution than trying to actually cut all of this out and move it down and then reattach it. I think we just move the whole thing, which is going to actually also, as you can tell, move the cross member down 1 millimeter also. So that's, if any of that was in the way, which I don't think the cross member was actually getting in the way. It was just the steering parts. It was just the tie rods and the center link that were really getting in the way. But it will move all that down also. And then once we paint all this back, we should get about 1.25 millimeter, 1.25 mil of extra space. I'm thinking is about what it's going to give us, which is going to be plenty to get our motor to sit down lower. Now, unfortunately, I haven't. I wish I was hoping to have. I wish I could have had this all ready to go for you to see, but I need to make sure that these little blocks in here get really glued up. And I think what I'm going to do, yeah, I do. I have some thick CA. So this styrene is pretty much the thickness of that gap, but not quite. It's just a hair off. So what I think I'm going to do real quick while we're here together, I've got a brand new thing of Starbond CA glue, the thick stuff, which is what I want. By the way, if you want to get a 10% discount on good CA glue, I got one for Starbond CA glue down in the description for you if you want to use that. But let me go ahead and get the cap off. Let's put this cap on. This is brand new, so we can we have to cut the end off, which I'm going to cut about. I think I got to go about right there to get to where it'll come out for us. Did that get us? Yeah. Okay, so what I want to do with it, what's great about thick CA glue is it's actually meant to be a gap filler. So what I can go in here and do now, so I've got this glued in with just cement, with plastic cement. But I think what I'm going to do now is add a little bit of the thick CA glue. And this stuff is not easy. It's thick, and it takes a good squeeze to get it going, especially to get it started. Here it comes. There we go. Okay. Let's get, if I can do it one hand. I've got a small little hole here for it to come out, so it's kind of hard to make it squeeze and come out. But hopefully you guys can see this. So I'm just going to fill, I'm going to over apply it, obviously, and try to fill the gaps on either side, which this will, trust me, this will fill those gaps. So it'll kind of two birds, one stone, I guess you could say. Not only, I mean, obviously it's going to help glue it in place, like CA glue will, but it'll fill those gaps that's in between. Where it's, I mean, and the gaps between this styrene, or I guess I should just say the gap I'm trying to fill is a hair width. I mean, it's nothing. But it is there, and I'm afraid that if we don't try to get those filled in, this piece will break out on us when we go to sand and trim it down. Can you see my hand shaking? I mean, this stuff is so thick, it is it's hard to get out. Okay, but let's make sure we cap it real quick. Okay, and now I will let that. I'm going to let that. I think just cure naturally. I don't want to spray it. Because I do have the cement in there, and I don't know what that'll do. I just don't know what that'll do to the cement, but we'll let that cure naturally. So in the morning, before I film tomorrow, I'll be able to shave all this down, and we'll find out how well this works. So we're gonna find. Here's what we're gonna find out tomorrow: whether I'm buying a new kit or not for this one piece. But no, it should work. I don't see why it won't, and it should give us the space we need. That little bit, just that little bit, that we can drop the motor down so that we can make sure our hood just falls in naturally nice and flat, and we don't have to squish things around and manhandle things. Just let it sit normally. I mean, just this, for example, from me manhandling this in there, I've broke all these plug wires loose, so I've got to go back and reattach all the plug wires on the motor. It's just, that's the things that happen when you really start just trying to shove stuff into places. So I think this will solve that solution, hopefully. Let me know what you think down in the description. I got to get out of here and get my old man exam done. So I got to go. Thanks for joining me. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell if you would. I don't know, do those things you do on YouTube, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.